Capisce, fa freddo.
Hello everyone, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Sunday here at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. It is our race 2 program for today on round 7 of the Ferrari Challenge Europe. We're here, penultimate round of the season to complete the 2025 calendar. Let's give you our formal and official welcome to Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium. Here it comes right now. And there we're looking at the Eau Rouge, which is one of the more famed parts of this iconic circuit, which, as I say, forms round 7 of our 2025 calendar. We've already been to Monza, Misano, Hockenheim, Brno, Valencia, Barcelona. Here we are in Spa before heading off to Mugello for the final round, round 8, and not only, because it is the Finale Mondiale event as well, which contains the world finals for the Ferrari Challenge as well. Track temperature is 17 degrees, air temperature 13 degrees. Bit of rain in the region as well. It's rained overnight, and certainly the weather conditions and track conditions are moist, to say the least. I'm not absolutely convinced it's raining right now, but the track conditions definitely damp as we look at Andreas Koenig. Spent breakfast with Andreas's family this morning from Emil Ferrari Racing, as we're being told that the start is going to be behind the safety car. So Andreas Koenig, then driver of the 104 car, who was on the podium yesterday, having taken P2, as we see the back end of Tommy Lindroth as Tommy arrives on the grid. Now, this is Sven Schirmer in the 175 car. Now, Sven Schirmer finished a lowly P6 yesterday, and relative to where he needs to be in terms of his championship aspirations. I mean, Sven is still leading the championship points, but he's being chased hard by Jan Sandman, who actually had a very good time of it in the race yesterday by winning, and is starting from pole position today. There is the 103 car of Boris Gideon. Boris Gideon was on the podium yesterday, taking P3. And yeah, it's from a commanding position that Sven Schirmer had. Nico Spalek, as I introduce you, my colleague alongside me. It all seems to be going a bit south for Sven at the moment. Is that fair?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Sven Schirmer didn't score for race 1 that had 9 podiums in a row, and the last 3 races haven't gone his way. He still leads the championship by 15 points, but we still have around, with fastest laps and pole positions, 48 points remaining in this championship. So things can still happen, and Jan Sandman, he's doing the chasing. So certainly one round, the last round, went to Jan Sandman yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see what is going to play out today, but certainly from a starting position, Jan Sandman going from P1 and Sven Schirmer going from P3. Right, let's take a look at the highlights of that race then. And as the lights went out, Jan Sandman's start was perfect. Sven Schirmer's less so, to be fair. And into La Source. Now, this is where Sven really got a little bit mugged. Boris Gideon going around the inside. There you could see contact between Norikatsu Shibata and Darren Howell. That allowed Pino Frascaro to get past the Darren Howell car. But as everyone settled down, some did, some didn't. Norikatsu Shibata doing a great rally job through the gravel and tarmac by holding on to it and keeping it pointing in the right direction as Stephen Earle went through on Pino Frascaro. You can see there from our drone shot, and Louis Peruscua and Tommy Lindroth having a nice little battle out there, and this was a moment of significant driving from Alexei Komarov. And the reason I'm saying that is because he managed to thread his car through 2 others to avoid any collision whatsoever. Sven Schirmer was continually under pressure from the 110 car of Norikatsu Shibata, and Shibata would eventually make his way through, and then next in the order would be Guy Fawe, and the local driver then does go through on Sven Schirmer. He had several attempts at it, but this was the one that really counted, as Sven Schirmer was less than optimum through the bus stop chicane. It has to be said, he was running with a deflating tyre, so to control the car with a punctured tyre, he'd done really well. But the best of the lot was Jan Sandman, the Kessel driver, taking a win ahead of Andreas Koenig, and then Boris Gideon holding on to that P3 place as they went to the checkered flag. Those were the highlights of race 1 for Coppa Shell Am at Spa-Francorchamps, with our race winner, Jan Sandman. And it was Olivia Beretta, the Ferrari ambassador driver, that was dishing out the trophies on the podium from race 1. Mrs. Pino wishing Mr. Pino best wishes for the race ahead. They are a pair of the loveliest people you could ever wish to meet, a generous and kind Pino and Mrs. Pino. To this day, I still don't know what Mrs. Pino's name is, which is terrible admission.
I think it's keeping up with the mystique, and
yes,
she certainly doesn't mind, as we know. Guy Fawe, local driver, Belgian driver, very entertaining race from him yesterday.
He did a darn good job yesterday.
Lots of overtakes from him, and certainly put his track knowledge to good use.
Yes, he was very entertaining yesterday. Let's see what he can do today. The start is going to be behind the safety car. We are being advised that due to the track conditions that we're experiencing right now. This is Norikatsu Shibata now. If you were watching the highlights a few moments ago, you'd have seen how lively Norikatsu Shibata was. He, at one point, was out in the gravel and controlled the car absolutely beautifully. It certainly wasn't the quickest way around there. Norikatsu has had a really good season, a couple of podiums, one in the opening round at Monza and another one at the Brno circuit in the Czech Republic. So Norikatsu Shibata, who is starting from P5. We will, of course, be bringing you the grid in full when we get the cars underway for their formation lap. This, in the meantime, one of our UK drivers, Stephen Dobson. He joins Darren Howell as a couple of UK drivers here.
Good morning. I am Dr. Stephen Earle from San Antonio, Texas. Now with my 33rd year with the Ferrari Challenge since 1993. We are here at Spa, my favorite track in all the world. Standing above Eau Rouge Radillon, which is, for me, the most fun corner. As I was telling Ludovica earlier, when you hit the apex and turn left and you turn back to the right, you only see the sky. We are here at Spa at Eau Rouge, the Red River, which is the same name converted to English between Texas and Oklahoma. We also have a Red River. And here to discuss my two different lives, one with a racing family and one with a medical family, of which I am a fifth-generation doctor and second-generation spinal surgeon. To take care of your car, you have to pay attention to what the car is doing and discuss that with the engineer, because a Ferrari Challenge car has many things you can change to make it handle better for whichever track it is. Coming to race in the Ferrari Challenge for the last 33 years, and the people that I've been able to meet and the tracks that we've gone to have just been spectacular.
So here is the Spa-Francorchamps circuit then, 7.004 kilometers, some 19 turns. for our drivers to contemplate for day 2 of racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. It was great to hear from Dr. Stephen Earle. Huge character. A huge character, and I have to say the musical treatment on that piece was very Texan-like as well. They'd dug deep into the archives of music and found something really appropriate. And a great guy, great driver. Did a fantastic job in the race yesterday. Did Stephen Earle, finishing P7, and the cars are released then behind the safety car. The race has effectively started because we are behind the safety car because of the track conditions. You can see just how damp it is, and the clock has begun counting down already. We will bring you the grid in just a moment.
Yeah, and the fact that the race effectively has started behind the safety car, we probably expect at least 2 laps behind the safety car, which means A, there is going to be a shorter green flag race distance, and B, we will not have a dual file start. So it's going to be a single file restart behind the safety car. So anybody who's trying to move up, Sven Schirmer, for example, and other drivers with the ambition to move up, and who doesn't, is going to be more difficult because they have to do it from a single file restart position.
Here is the grid in full. Shintaro Akatsu going from P13 on the grid. Ahead is Louis Peruscu and Tommy Lindroth. They're P12 and P11 respectively. It's Darren Howell, P10, and Stephen Earle, who we just heard from, going from P9. Stephen Dobson, great quali. Well done, Stephen, P8, and Guy Fawe goes from P7. Pino Frascaro, P6, and Norikatsu Shibata, a danger man, from P5. Andreas Koenig and Sven Schirmer, our championship leader, share the second row of the grid. And Boris Gideon on the podium yesterday, alongside with Jan Sandman, who is going from pole position once again. So Jan Sandman is leading the cars away at the moment, and just before the start of the race, we of course caught up with him.
Good afternoon. Yeah, we had a really nice qualifying with a lot of sun, with a warm track, and we could not set the optimal lap because we had traffic on our 2 fastest laps, but still we managed to put it on pole, so I'm happy about this. Thank you.
Qualifying for Jan Sandman taking place, as for all the other drivers, on Friday, when, yes, as he said, the weather conditions were somewhat different to what we see today. So Jan Sandman qualifying the car on pole position. As he says, he wasn't even able to optimize his lap. So I think my colleague is probably right. We might see 2 laps behind the safety car, which is really going to diminish the race duration. And you can see that 27.5 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap of the race so far, because a lap behind the safety car is quite clearly always going to be slower than that when the cars are at race pace, although race pace will be nothing like we had yesterday when the track conditions were dry. Now, from a track surface grip point of view, that's one of the considerations, but also from a visibility point of view. We're right on board with Boris Gideon. To be fair, there's not so much standing water around, but the cars are not at race pace, because visibility when cars are at race pace and there is standing water is something of an issue because of the spray that comes off from the car in front of you. That, of course, would impact and affect every driver with the exception of Jan Sandman, who would have clear tarmac ahead of him. But as I say, I don't think it's raining now. I don't think there's so much standing water down there, so I'm not expecting visibility to be quite the issue that it could have been, Nico.
Absolutely, I would second that 100%. I mean, what race control has to see, and they only see it now that cars are going around the track at increasing speeds, it might be 90% is fairly easy, but then you will have, with the undulation, you will have standing water in certain spots, and this is where it also has to be safe, and especially considering that at the bottom of Eau Rouge, there will be probably the most of that. And you absolutely want to make sure that all the drivers have the grip level that they need to make the turn up through Radillon and onto the Camel Straight. So obviously safety, always of paramount importance, and race control just making sure that that's the case. We are thinking that probably this lap will be the last lap behind the safety car. And there you can see Sven Schirmer's partner looking on. Sven Schirmer going from P3, the Penske Sportwagen Hamburg driver who is leading the championship, and safety car will come in at the end of this lap, as I predicted. Now, Sven Schirmer's had an extraordinary season, to be fair, and deserves to be leading the championship.
had a couple of wins, but only a couple, which is amazing. But other than that, he's been really consistent in terms of his points haul. So Sven Schirmer, who doesn't have quite the points lead that he would like, will he be able to put that right today in terms of increasing that gap between himself and Jan Sandman, who's doing the chasing? We will see. As I say, safety car coming in this lap. You can see that in graphics on the screen right now. And safety car will gradually increase speed right now to get the drivers prepared and used to the conditions that face them for what is probably going to be something less than 23 minutes plus a lap. When the safety car gets around to the start-finish straight. Babalus, one of the driver coaches with the headphones on, and he, of course, will be advising his driver in how to cope with these conditions and everything else that's out there. Many of the drivers having a driver coach just to give them their advice and help them in terms of enhancing their racecraft. And good to see a number of people that have come in to watch the race today as the cars continue on this. It kind of feels like a formation lap, but actually the race has started because the race started behind the safety car, which comes in at the conclusion of this lap.
Absolutely. One driver who benefits from this procedure is Shintaro Akatsu at the very back. He had to start from pit lane after having to change the car. But obviously that means he's still last in the sequence, but he's not losing any time. So we're only a few more turns away, and then this race will get underway in earnest. As always, turn one here, always a pinch point, especially in these conditions.
Yes, La Source turn, where it's very much a hairpin right-hander, and then you start running downhill towards Eau Rouge. We ride on board with Boris Gideon, who's in a very, very good position going from P2. What will happen, the safety car will peel off. You can see that it's escaped up the road right now, and therefore the pace of the start will be controlled by Jan Sandman. And only he can decide when to accelerate, and when he accelerates, he has to stay accelerated. It's down to the likes of Boris Gideon and Sven Schirmer to try and anticipate when Jan Sandman is going to give it 100% on the accelerator pedal, which he isn't at the moment. My guess is going to be on the approach to or through the bus stop chicane. That's when he'll go for it. But I could be wrong. Every driver knows, they kind of rehearse this in the back of their minds when they're going to go for it. He's gone for it now. So it was ahead of the bus stop chicane, and let's get racing. Then when the cars cross the safety car line, we will be racing. This is Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am, 22.5 minutes plus one lap then. And as you can see, there are pockets of standing water. And into La Source, and immediately Sven Schirmer to the inside of Boris Gideon to try and wrestle away that P2 place, and he's done that. Great overtake from Sven Schirmer. Andreas Koenig running in P4 at the moment. There is Boris Gideon. So Jan Sandman trying to escape up the road, and Sven Schirmer is making the chase now through Eau Rouge. Gently does it, everybody. And try and avoid the painted lines, which will be slipperier than the tarmac, and every driver does do that. Expecting good things from Guy Fawe in this race as well. He's going from P7, local driver, and Sven Schirmer really beginning to reel in Jan Sandman along the Kemmel Straight. And Guy Fawe and Pino Frascaro as Guy Fawe moves up to P6, Nico.
Yeah, and I think especially in these conditions where the last few days it has been dry, that superior track knowledge and knowing the track in all sorts of conditions certainly helps. Pino certainly erred on the side of caution at the end of the Kemmel Straight and didn't put up too much of a fight, but here's the overtake in replay again for P2.
Spotted it perfectly, dived to the inside. Racing room was left by Boris Gideon, why would it not be? And John Dillon, a winner yesterday, and Sven Schirmer's partner looks on as applause at the great move to P2. So here is Andreas Koenig right now, and Andreas Koenig is running in P4, chasing down Boris Gideon, although he himself is being chased down by Norikatsu Shibata, and here comes Guy Fawe in his quest with local knowledge to move up from P6 to P5 if possible. And so Norikatsu Shibata for the moment changes his strategy from attacking the car in front to defending, and Guy Fawe knows precisely where to place his 296 challenge car where he can get away with it, where he can really shake Norikatsu Shibata, and that's precisely what he's trying to do. 20 minutes plus a lap remaining in this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am race. We're live from Spa-Francorchamps. The race being led by Jan Sandman ahead of Sven Schirmer and Boris Gideon. They are the top three at the moment, but we're watching the fight for P4, 5 and 6. And Andreas Koenig has not been able to break away from Norikatsu Shibata and Guy Fawe, which I thought he might be able to do so. Oh, as Norikatsu Shibata takes a look at the inside and going all the way around the outside, Guy Fawe. And I think Guy has done it. Sure enough, he has. He set that up perfectly. He's through, moved up a further place. Guy Fawe then, local knowledge, paying dividends for him, as now he'll put the chase on to Andreas Koenig. But Norikatsu Shibata was coming back there and did take a look at coming back, but has thus far been unable to do so.
Yeah, Shibata, the traditional jeopardy when you try to attack and you're the meat in a sandwich. He tried to attack but was denied, and all of a sudden Guy Fawe took the line, had surplus speed and went around the outside and made that move stick. And now Andreas Koenig under real threat at the end of the Camel Straight. Will Guy Fawe be close enough, and will he just have a little bit more confidence in his braking point?
Andrea Gagliardini is one of the driver coaches to Sven Schirmer, who's currently running in P2, and apparently he's on the radio saying, come on, you've got to put pressure on Jan Sandman. So he's trying to reduce that gap and has done so on the last lap by 0.3. It's just 1.7 now between P1 and P2 as we watch Pino Frascaro, who's running in P7. Guy Fawe is all over the back of Andreas Koenig, as there is Andrea Gagliardini that we were talking about just a moment ago, telling Sven Schirmer, get on it, get on it, get on it. What about this as an overtake from Guy Fawe? That is a masterclass here at Spa-Francorchamps, Nico. And again, great respectful racing from Andreas Koenig. There was a racing room left. Guy Fawe was just able to thread that car through perfectly.
100%. You can just tell how much he is at one with this circuit in these conditions, where some other drivers are treading a little bit careful, rightfully so, because rather lose the position than lose the car into the gravel and into the barriers. So totally understandable, but Guy Fawe no such considerations. He knows where the grip level is and he's making full use of that.
Let's see it again. So good. Let's rerun the fun. And this is actually on Norikatsu Shibata. Norikatsu Shibata diving to the inside of Andreas Koenig, and then Guy Fawe all the way around the outside of Norikatsu Shibata. So that was the first overtake, if you will. Did that really, really well. And then the chase was on to Andreas Koenig. And in replay here, all the way around the outside, which would give him the inside for the next turn. Brilliant job done. In replay there, 2 overtakes. So now Guy Fawe will be trying to get on terms with Boris Gideon so that he can try and wrestle a podium place out of this race, of which there is 17 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. And he's very nearly on the back of Boris Gideon already. So he means business. There's Dr. Stephen Earle. There too is Darren Howell. They're running P9 and P10. Stephen Dobson is running P7 at the moment. And here is our race leader, Sven. Our race leader is Jan Sandman, being chased by Sven Schirmer, who's P2. Now, it's 2.9 seconds. Make that 2.8 now between P1 and P2. So Jan Sandman, I think, is just managing the gap pretty well. He's very much aware of the fact that Sven Schirmer is doing the chasing, but if he's able to manage the gap, not overdrive the car, keep a comfortable margin between P1 and P2, then he'll be doing a very good job. And despite all the efforts of Andrea Gagliardini and Max Blancardi to tell Sven Schirmer to get the hurry up and try and put the pressure on, he's not able to do that at the moment. Under pressure right now from Norikatsu Shibata, as he has been for the last 2 or 3 laps, is Andreas Koenig, but Andreas is driving a perfectly respectable pace and place on track, which is denying Norikatsu Shibata the opportunity to come through, Nico.
Yeah, Shibata would like to have a look, but equally he is controlled and respectful to Andreas Koenig, so he's looking in some unorthodox spots sometimes, but he's not trying to make a daredevil move. As we just saw that Guy Fawe, the gap towards Boris Gideon, has been reduced to less than 1.2 seconds, and I rather venture to say when they hit the next timing line, it could be a 0 point something between the two. Let's get the interval graphics on screen for you to confirm or disconfirm. It's only 6.5 tenths.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Guy Fawe means business here. A huge number of guests and family and friends here at a local race for the driver who's been a long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge, Guy Fawe. And he is absolutely all over the back of Boris Gideon. Where is he going to place his chances? Going into the bus stop chicane as possible. Guy Fawe makes the car very wide. He sticks his elbows out metaphorically. And that denies Guy, but he gets a very good exit now. And let's see, potentially going into turn one, La Source, and there you can see into the Scuderia FMA garage we go. And again, Boris Gideon sticking his elbows out, and it is his right. He is able to defend his position. And there you can see, right in the middle of that picture is Florence, who's marketing manager for Scuderia FMA, and always here in the paddock, and brilliant team and brilliant driver, Guy Fawe, currently running P4. He's going to desperately try and make that P3 before much longer. And as they run now, Radion and the Kemmel Straight awaits. We've got a double yellow at turn one, so someone has gone around at La Source, I would suggest. And Guy Fawe not able to get the advantage as the double waved yellow has been redacted, and Norikatsu Shibata takes a look at the inside of Andreas Koenig for P5, but he wasn't able to make it stick. Nor was Guy Fawe on Boris Gideon. In replay then, could it have been Dr. Stephen Earle going to the inside at La Source, and then just a little bit of contact between himself, and that unfortunately sent both cars around. So both he and Pino Frescaro. That to me is 6 of one, half a dozen of another. But a big beneficiary, of course, would be Darren Howell, who's gone through to pick up that P8 place. So well done. We've got two British drivers running P7 and P8 making their debut in the European Series this weekend. And it was just a couple of weeks ago that the UK season of the Ferrari Challenge came to a close, and right now Guy Fawe on the inside of Boris Gideon, and Boris closing the door there. And again, it's his right to be able to do that. He has got track position, but Guy Fawe quite clearly, the gap is down to nothing now between P3 and P4. Boris is really having to defend very, very hard and protect his current provisional podium place, but the incident involving cars 140 and 100 that we just saw in replay in turn number one is going to be under investigation. As I say, in my opinion, it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Right, is Guy going to have the ability to have a go going into the chicane here, trying to come around the outside, now diving to the inside? Is Racing Room going to be left? Well, Boris Gideon pushes really, really hard. Probably it wasn't an optimized line. That means that Guy Fawe gets a better line out of the bus stop chicane, side by side. But Boris Gideon with good traction. Now, Guy Fawe is having to go to the outside. Will he try and get underneath the 103 car now, under braking, and try and slingshot a little bit down through turn number one as they head towards Eau Rouge, almost side by side. This is a compelling battle that is going on for P3. In Ferrari Challenge Coppa between Boris Gideon and Guy Fawe. Up the Eau Rouge they go, and keep off the painted white lines if you can. That's where the track is at its slipperiest. And now on the straight, let's see who is going to do what here. Now, can Guy Fawe get the benefit of a draft off the Boris Gideon car and dive to the inside? Well, actually, Boris just placed the car right in the middle of the circuit, denying Guy Fawe the opportunity to do so. As we can see, a drive-through penalty is being awarded to Dr. Stephen Earle for causing a collision. And that was the, look at this, around the outside. Guy Fawe, is he confident in the grip? Racing Room is left. This is another phenomenal overtake from Guy Fawe. whose track knowledge of Spa-Francorchamps is encyclopedic. And he knew where the grip was, where his confidence level is, which is sky high. And he goes through to pick up P3. That has got to be one of the moves of the day.
Wow, amazing. I mean, you can tell how much he feels at home here, and he has clawed that podium position. And that means he is now running in P3. The gap towards Sven Schirmer is 18 seconds, so the front two have really broken away. The dynamic between the front two and the gap between them is 3.7 seconds. It's very interesting. You can tell that Sven Schirmer has set up the car with less downforce because it's always very quick in the first sector, including the Camel Straight. But for the other sectors, it's always Jan Salmon who's quicker by a few tenths. So that gap is seesawing a little bit, but not significantly.
And you can see how the drivers are now just prepared to explore the track a bit more, because we have P2 and P3 drivers both having picked up a track limits warning. This was the overtake of the day so far. All the way around the downhill outside went Guy Fawe and said, thank you very much, provisional podium is mine, P3. Norikatsu Shibata carries too much speed in his quest to get by Andreas Koenig, and that doesn't work, so Andreas Koenig maintains that P5 position right now. Just under 10 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap. What a phenomenal race we've seen from some of the drivers in this Coppa race. La Source, Andreas Koenig accelerates away. Norikatsu Shibata chasing down. It's P6 and P5, the positions that we're looking at right now. We have just seen a phenomenal overtake from Guy Fawe, who's put himself into P3. There he is, and broken away from Boris Gideon a bit now. Here's Andreas Koenig running P5, and good gap now to the P6 driver Norikatsu Shibata, who is certainly having a great time of it. We saw that there was a drive-through penalty issued to Dr. Stephen Earle. He has taken that, or in the process of taking that. As we catch up with our race leader, we've kind of not seen too much of him during the course of the race, but he's 4.5 seconds to the good. And as I mentioned, there's Stephen Earle taking his drive-through penalty for causing a collision, and turning around Pino Frascaro, who now is running plumb last. Plumb first is this driver, 186, Jan Sandman, whose margin to the chasing Sven Schirmer is 4.3 seconds. And Jan Sandman just picks up the fastest lap award, which in the wet-affected track is a lap time significantly slower than his qualifying time. Critically, it carries an additional point, Nico, in the championship chase. And it is Jan Salmon that is doing the chasing now. Sven Schirmer doing a good job in being in P2. He's maximising his points haul. Of course, he'd like to maximise it a bit more by taking P1, but the gap between P1 and P2 is such that in the 7 minutes remaining, unless Jan Salmon makes a mistake, which he's not prone to do, P1 and P2, I suspect is going to stay where we are.
Well, I will refrain from making any predictions in the Ferrari Challenge, but thus far, if things stand, Jan Salmon will absolutely maximize his points haul from Spa. 2 pole positions, 2 fastest laps, and 2 race wins. Can't do any more than that. And Sven Schirmer, if he finishes every race in second, he will take the championship. But again, lots of ifs, but as you say, unless something dramatic happens, P2 probably the best he can muster based on his own position on the track and speed of the car.
6.5 minutes plus 1 lap as we watch the driver of the 175 car, Sven Schirmer, who, as I said, has had an interesting, really interesting season. Middle part of the season, by far and away, the most consistent. And that, in replay once again, was the overtake of the day. Guy Fawe and Boris Gideon. Really respectful driving from both of them, Nico. It would be so easy for a little squeeze, but no, it was awesome. And that was the reaction inside the Scuderia FMA pit box. Awesome driving from their principal, Guy Fawe. Here's Andreas Koenig and Norikatsu Shibata. Now this battle has played out for every single lap of this race. And Andreas Koenig doing a good job in holding on to that P5 place, and Norikatsu Shibata, whatever pressure he is placing on the 104 car ahead of him, it has not unseated the driver of that Emil Frey car, Nico.
No, however, it looked like for a few laps Shibata had pulled it back a little bit and left a little bit of gap. Now it seems like he is launching a second wave of attacks and is very, very close. Wouldn't be surprised if he tries something on this lap. If no other opportunity presents itself, maybe into the bus stop chicane. But Andreas Koenig obviously very wise to it, very experienced driver. And he will be advised by his team, Giacomo Altoe, as well in the Emil Frey box. We can see on one of our other screens. The whole team rooting for him, and he has to pedal the car, but it's never one man out there, or one woman out there on his own or her own. It's always a team effort, and we can see that here in the Ferrari Challenge playing out. As it looks like on our timing screen, we have a few drivers drop down the order, Jan Salmon and Sven Schirmer. No indication on the screen. It might be just a transponder issue.
Well, yeah, but the one driver that is impacted, you could see on the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen, and we've had it happen before. We get terribly excited, but as you say, it's a transponder issue because it's as we were with Sandman, Schirmer, and Fawe. Boris Gideon running P4, Andreas Koenig P5. This then, as we zoom in to the entrance to the bus stop chicane, as Norikatsu Shibata, probably for the 20th time of trying, tries to unseat Andreas Koenig, and he's unable to do so. The live gap between the two of them, you can see that Norikatsu Shibata is quicker. It's all very well being quicker than the car ahead of you. You've got to find a way by, and in these very, very challenging track conditions, you don't want to bin it in a quest to win it. And actually winning it would be P5 for Norikatsu Shibata. The risk-reward of doing something daredevil would be probably an error of judgment.
It is one of those things as a racing driver, you always want to overtake, but sometimes the best you can do is just put pressure on the driver in front of you and try to instigate a mistake by the other driver.
Yes.
But if that other driver doesn't make that mistake, sometimes, you just have to hold your hands up and say, I tried, I did everything I could, but, fair play to you. You held firm, and there is the 103 car, and that's Boris Gideon.
So that means that Andreas Koenig moves up a place to P4. Boris Gideon has gone around, and Norikatsu Shibata all over the back of Andreas Koenig. But again, I'm sure we will get in replay what happened to Boris Gideon, just losing the place that he had. He's returned, but he is going to be behind Andreas Koenig and Norikatsu Shibata. Here it is. Let's take a look at what happened to Boris Gideon then. So in just the back end of the car letting go, and Boris was quick on it and able to get it turned around pretty quickly. And let's see it from an onboard perspective here. Just clipped the curb here, and that's what sent the car around. So just a little bit too much curb, and you're absolutely on a knife edge, particularly in these conditions, and that's why Boris Gideon went around. Here is our race leader, Jan Sandeman. And we'll get a live gap, and it was 6.022 seconds between P1 and P2. So Jan Salmon crosses the timing line now. We await Sven Schirmer to cross the timing line, and Jan Salmon's pulled another tenth and a bit over Sven Schirmer. The gap now 6.27 seconds. He starts this lap, and by starting this lap when he has, it means we will have this lap plus one more, and then that will be the conclusion of this race. Darren Howell running P8. He's chasing down his UK sparring partner, Stephen Dobson. Stephen Dobson running P7. A good result for these two UK drivers. Dick Love at Swindon and JCT 600 Leeds are the two dealers that represent these drivers, or those drivers represent. And Darren Howell and Stephen Dobson, who've provided so much entertainment in the UK series of the Ferrari Challenge, doing a great job here in challenging conditions at Spa-Francorchamps. So Darren just taking a look at the inside of Stephen Dobson. They've had some brilliant battles, to be fair, in the UK, and now having a brilliant battle here in Spa-Francorchamps as well. So P7 and P8 for those two drivers. Jan Sandman, Sven Schirmer, Guy Fawe, the 1, 2, 3. Norikatsu Shibata, who's been the bridesmaid behind the bride, Andreas Koenig, for lap after lap after lap. Fair play to both of them. And now Darren Howell, is he going to get the benefit of a wind shadow from Stephen Dobson? I think the benefit was there, but discretion was the better part of valor as he dived out of that. And you can see that Darren Howell is marginally quicker than Stephen Dobson. But you've got to find a way by as well. So at the moment, Stephen Dobson stays in that P7 position, Darren Howell in P8. By wind shadow, I'm using a expression used by a racing colleague of mine to describe a slipstream. It's an interesting word. Jan Sandman, Sven Schirmer, Guy Fawe, Andreas Koenig, Norikatsu Shibata, Boris Gideon, and then this battle, Stephen Dobson and Darren Howell. And with the clock having counted down to 0, when Jan Sandman and Sven Schirmer cross the timing line, they will be starting the final lap of this race. And I have to say credit to all of our Coppa Shell Am drivers. In quite challenging track conditions, they have driven remarkably well. And here is Koenig and Shibata. There's quite a collection of drivers. In fact, there were so many drivers out in Spa last night when we were there on dinner duties, if you will, that there were almost enough drivers there to have a race around the lovely Spa town centre, city centre last night. Very nice evening spent in the company of so many people from the Ferrari Challenge. So, final lap about to be started for Andreas Koenig and Norikatsu Shibata. So, Norikatsu, now is your final opportunity. You can just see in the background Darren Howell with a completely different line coming out of the bus stop chicane as he is trying to reel in Stephen Dobson. Stephen cool, calm and collected through La Source. And yeah, Sandman, Schirmer, Guy Fawe. That's P7 and P8 for these two drivers who've had a fantastic time and really enjoyed being here at Spa-Francorchamps, driving in the European Series. And up Eau Rouge and onto the Camel Straight again. This is one of the obvious and best opportunities for an overtake potentially. Stephen Dobson puts the car to the middle of the track. Darren Howell trying to get the advantage once again of a slipstream. But Dobson's placing of the car pretty good to protect going into that chicane. So time running out, final lap for all of our drivers, those of which who want to make a move and try and move up a place. And the two best battles, if you will, that are going on are perhaps the battle for P7 and the battle for P4. But Andreas Koenig, interestingly, has just set the fastest lap of the race, Nico.
Yeah, that's at least the indication on the graphics. We have a little bit of a different indication on the timing screen. We will find out exactly what that is. Problem is, if you exceed the track limits during the lap, it may be that you've got the quickest lap, but it doesn't count because you took it not properly. But anyway, last two turns for our race winner to be Jan Sandman.
Through the bus stop chicane he goes then, having once again controlled. He's done everything that he possibly can. He could do no more. He crosses the timing line and takes another win. Jan Sandman then, P1, and increasing his points tally. And Sven Schirmer, he maximizes everything that probably he could get out of today and takes P2. And it's going to be Guy Fawe, who, for my money, was the driver of the day, Nico, because the overtakes he did during the course of this race provided so much entertainment. And here he is then, local driver, car number 120 for Scuderia FMA. Guy Fawe, as they celebrate inside the garage as well. It's going to be a richly deserved podium for one of the older drivers in Coppa Shell Am, to be fair, and he won't mind me saying that. Andreas Koenig takes P4. Credit to both Andreas and Norikatsu Shibata. They've had a brilliant race. So too have Stephen Dobson and Darren Howell. Well done to both of those drivers, P7, P8. Tommy Lindroth is going to take P9. What an awesome race from the Ferrari Challenge. And there was the reaction inside the Scuderia FMA garage for Guy Fawe, who has finished the race on the podium, P3. A lot of friends, family and guests are here, of course, for their local race at Spa-Francorchamps, and yeah, doing it really, really well. So I want to say huge credit to all the drivers, Nico, in very difficult track conditions. They did a brilliant job.
Yes, and sometimes it is when the track is changing a little bit, and it wasn't getting drier, but certainly the standing water had disappeared, and you try to push, but not over push, and great job by all our drivers. And yeah, I mean, bigger picture, Jan Salmon not only takes the win, the fastest lap obviously brings a point with it, so whether he has it or not, something to be determined as where we stand right now, he will have reduced the gap to just over 10 points, maybe 12, 13 roughly. And with 32, 34 points to be gained in Mugello, that's all still to play for. Sven Schirmer, credit to him, had a difficult day yesterday, didn't have quite the pace. Maybe slightly different conditions helped him, but certainly still in control of the championship. But it's not going to be without nerves, probably, traveling to Mugello when it's all going to be decided. But this is the decision that was taken today.
Confirmation then that Jan Salmon takes the win from Sven Schirmer and Guy Fawe. Andreas Koenig, P4. Norikatsu Shibata, P5. Then it was Boris Gideon, Stephen Dobson, and Darren Howell. Tommy Lindroth, P9. Shintaro Akatsu, P10. Then it was Louis Peruscia, Stephen Earle, and Pino Frascaro. That's the way it looked then for the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am race. The second race for those drivers over the course of this weekend, as we see the cars making their way back into the pit lane, including the car of Sven Schirmer and now the race-winning car of Jan Salmon. Being unbuckled right now. Out of the car he gets. And is congratulated. The winner is Jan Salmon. And, well, as Nico has indicated, really narrowing his deficit, if you will, to the current points leader, which is this man, Sven Schirmer. Well done, Sven. And a big smile, and I think the Penske Sportwagen Hamburg driver should be happy with what he's able to achieve. And he is, let's say, I've been trying to say during the course of the season, as he's congratulated by Max Blancardi and Andrea Gagliardini. You look at his history of racing this season and what he's been able to achieve. It's remarkable that Sven has not only had, he's only had a couple of wins, but my goodness me, the points haul for consistent finishing. I mean, he started the season with a P7 at Monza, but then it was a podium in race 2, and then it's been pretty much non-stop podiums all the way through until it went a bit south in Barcelona. So this man, though, Guy Fawe, who's taking P3 and is going to be on the podium, has driven a phenomenal race here at Spa-Francorchamps. And he's going to be on the podium and in front of his friends, his family, and guests as well. That will be really, really good for him. He'll be pleased about that. Of course, we will be hearing from Jan Salmon in just a few moments' time on yet another win. And yeah, his cool, calm, collected driving style means that he maximizes his haul of points here at Spa-Francorchamps. And he is with Ludovica right now.
Jan, congratulations, a perfect weekend for you here in Spa. I want to rely with you your feeling and your race of today after a solid and clear performance.
Thank you so much. Today I was hoping for rain, and we had rain, so totally different experience than yesterday. And yeah, our goal was just to have fun and bring the P1 home. And yeah, it was exactly like this, and it was just perfect. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, to be fair, from what we saw, you didn't put a foot wrong, Jan. So we take a look at the highlights of race 2, Spa-Francorchamps. Jan Salmon then going from pole position was just getting into his car. Now the start was going to be behind the Richard Mills safety car because of the track conditions, damp out there. And it was to enable all the drivers to get used to conditions before we went to racing. And when we did, well, Jan Salmon doing a very good job. Now, Sven Schirmer was determined to get by Boris Gideon straight away, and he did that going through La Source. It was a great overtake from Sven Schirmer, and the delight there was clear to see inside the garages. Now, Shintaro Akatsu and then Andreas Koenig, I beg your pardon, Norikatsu Shibata and Andreas Koenig were having a battle. It played into the hands of the car number 120 of Guy Fawe, and the local driver was on something of a mission to do everything he could, and that was a great overtake on Pino Frascaro from the car of Stephen Dobson. Now, Pino Frascaro unfortunately would receive and see the side of the car of Stephen Earle, and Stephen Earle picking up a drive-through penalty for that. Now, this is the overtake of the day, as around the outside went Guy Fawe on Boris Gideon to pick up that P3 place. It was a brilliant overtake, and you could see there that drive-through penalty being taken by Stephen Earle, and Boris Gideon just on the painted lines. It meant the back end of the car let go. So it would be Jan Salmon to take a win and make it 2 out of 2 here at Spa-Francorchamps. As he crossed the line, he saw the checkered flag, and Sven Schirmer would be able to take P2 with Guy Fawe for Scuderia FMA, their garage there, celebrating his P3. And there, our race winner was out of the car. So as we look at the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, we are going to be heading up to the podium very, very soon. There, the podium is ready. To the right-hand side, you might just be able to sneak a look at Olivier Beretta in there, who will be on trophy presentation duties. And there, all the sense of camaraderie when it comes to podiums here at any Ferrari Challenge event is always, always enjoyable. You know, even when the race hasn't gone your way, like Pino Frascaro, he's still there to support his colleagues on the podium. Isn't that nice to see?
It's just a testament to the way that the Ferrari Challenge works, and the different drivers, irrespective of team, they root for each other. Obviously, they're teammates more than others, but it is a great atmosphere. And you were saying, like yesterday in Spa, all the drivers and team managers and driver coaches we met there, and it didn't matter what affiliation, you know, it was just a great time, everybody together.
Michele Mambelli about to bring everyone out onto the podium then. Guy Fawe takes P3, the Scuderia FMA driver. Here he is.
On the podium, Sven Schirmer.
Taking P2, here comes Sven Schirmer.
And the winner is Jan Sandman.
Top step of the podium for Jan Salmon. He takes another win. He's offered congratulations by those that were doing the chasing. And of course, Kessel Racing are there for a Coppa Team Award as well. So as the anthem fades out, then it'll be Ferrari ambassador driver Olivier Beretta that will be making the trophy presentations. Von Steltemar looking on from Kessel Racing. Here's Guy then receiving his P3 trophy. Well done, sir. Thrilled for you. Receiving a P2 trophy is going to be Sven Schirmer. Still leading the Drivers' Championship, heading into the final round in Mugello. However, the driver that is chasing him hard is the man that's on the top step of the podium, Jan Sandman. He receives his race winner's trophy. And of course, the Coppa team trophy will be presented to the team that's run by the enigmatic Ronnie Kessel. Kessel Racing, renowned in racing around the world, but certainly in the Ferrari Challenge too. So all drivers and team members and Olivier Beretta then all get together for the photographs and a nice shot, although not the weather conditions that we've experienced over the first days of Spa-Francorchamps. It's much more Spa-like, if I may say, in terms of a little bit of drizzle around. Who is going to win the champagne race? I think it might have been Jan Sandman. We weren't, our drone camera zoomed out just at the wrong moment for me to be able to predict that. Scuderia FMA, P3, Guy Fawe. It's P2 for the Drivers' Championship leader in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am, the Penske Sportwagen Hamburg driver Sven Schirmer. A P1 for the Kessel Racing driver Jan Sandman, who's narrowed the gap at the top of the championship as we head into the final round in Mugello.
And having another look at the charts, I think Jan Sandman had the fastest lap.
Sven Schirmer leads by merely 10 points over Jan Sandman and Andreas Koenig. There's still everything to play for as the Coppa Shell Am drivers will head to Finale Mondiale and the final round of the Coppa Shell Am Championship for 2025 at the Mugello circuit. That's the next on the agenda, and that is between the 21st and the 26th of October. Please make sure you join us for that. We're not done here, though, at Spa-Francorchamps with Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am races to come, as well as Coppa Shell as well. But from Nico and from myself for the moment, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.